Happy Halloween. Hello everyone.
Hello denizens of the Empire. It's Jabara here. Throughout history, writing systems have attained a pivotal role in allowing people to communicate in a manner that transmits accurate information without relying solely on the memory or speaking skills or loyalty of the messenger. Not only that, but it allowed for information to be transferred from one person to another in a confidential manner. Sometimes this was taken a step further, with the message actually being written down in an encoded or ambiguous manner to ensure that only the recipient or a select few individuals were able to decipher it. Even to present day, from radio broadcasts to internet packages, encryption remains an important measure taken when sending and receiving information. The African continent has a wide variety of similar systems, and not just in the form of writing either. Today, we will be talking about a unique messaging system created by the Yoruba people of West Africa. Throughout world history, various civilizations developed alternate methods of transmitting messages that didn't require voice or memory. While writing is very useful, it was not the only effective method of accomplishing this task. For example, many civilizations of Western South America developed a complex system of knots known as quipu. It is known that they were able to record intricate layouts of numbers and possibly words, and were used to record important government data. To this day, the system has yet to be fully deciphered. Various West African peoples developed what is known as a talking drum, a dual instrument with a high and a low tone that are used in synchronization to mimic human speech and can transmit messages over several miles. The Igbo people developed Mcbd, a proper writing system as we know it that accomplished the same task. The Yoruba people succeeded in accomplishing a similar system without the need to write things down. One of these systems is known as Aroko. Aroko required no pen, no paper, or even a man-made system of symbols. Instead, it relied on natural objects arranged on a string in a very specific pattern and sent from one person to the next in a parcel. The parcels consisted of either leaf wraps, cloth sacks, calabashes, or any other suitable container. They would then be delivered by messengers known as iranse. Once delivered, the parcel could then be opened and decoded by the recipient, who was also literate in Aroko. Needless to say, this system was only learned and known by select individuals in society, so that information was kept confidential. The etymology of the word Aroko itself is not fully understood. However, its structure seems to indicate that it possibly originated from a compound word with ro meaning to think and ko meaning to agree, and the a simply being a prefix to normalize the word. Again, this is not fully understood, and depending on the tonality of the vowels, it can mean several different things as well. For example, the low tone ro can mean to think, while the mid tone ro can mean to cultivate, and the high tone ro can mean to prepare. With that being said, it is nearly impossible to fully decipher its meaning since it has been used for such a long time and is pronounced differently depending on region or dialect. Regardless of the various possibilities, the meanings all tend to point towards thinking, planning, preparing, growing, and understanding something to be sent for a specific purpose, which all makes sense in the context of how Aroko functions. So let's get into more detail as to how Aroko actually transmitted the messages. Before we get into that though, I'd like to thank the Coldest Water for sponsoring this video. So it's been a fair amount of time since I've been using the Coldest Water thermos, and I have to say, I don't think I could, sponsorship or not by the way, I don't think I could ever use a different thermos. It's just crazy how effective this thing is. It keeps your water so cold. I literally put some cold water with ice cubes in it before bed, woke up the next morning, guess what, still cold water and ice cubes. It's like a miniature cooler, it's crazy, and I can honestly say, this thing has been helping me drink water more often, because I've been pretty bad about it in the past. This thing has definitely helped me do it more regularly. The Coldest Water thermoses can keep your water icy cold for over 36 hours. This is accomplished through its advanced lid technology, which also includes this tiny little puncture hole which lets in just enough air to build up pressure necessary to drink water through its built-in straw, thereby keeping your water much colder, much longer than other thermoses. It's so well insulated that it doesn't even sweat on the outside from condensing water, so everything around it stays dry. Also, if you take it in the water with you, it has a rubber grip and a handle so you can hang onto it easier, and it floats so you won't have to worry about it sinking to the bottom of the water. It fits in most cup holders, bike racks, and cars, and it also comes in multiple sizes. You can enter for a chance to win a free gallon thermos at the link down below, or receive a 10% discount on your entire order using my referral link, also down below. Aroko parcels function more or less like puns or emojis. They symbolize things and are arranged in such a way that convey meanings and messages when read in a specific sequence. Its contents are usually shells, sticks, seeds, and nuts, among other things. This one, for example, has 6 cowrie shells. The Yoruba word for 6 is ifa, which is the same word for attracted. This can thus imply that the sender and receiver have some sort of attraction to each other, and the cowrie shells facing opposite could indicate that they are no longer friends. The feather is believed to represent a conversation, and the length of the string may symbolize distance. With all of that being said, this particular Aroko parcel may be a message to a friend communicating that they need to reunite in person over the long distance and have a conversation to possibly make amends. Ale is a closely related system that makes use of the same objects as Aroko, but they symbolize different things. For example, the shell of a snail represents love in Aroko, since a shell and a snail never part and always move together, synonymous with lovers never parting from one another. In the Ale system, however, it seems to symbolize that a thief will be faced with trouble or misfortune if they steal property on which the shell is placed. The proverb for this is as follows: "The snail does not depart its home in peace." In short, the usage of Ale seems to be restricted to matters pertaining to the protection of property. Itufu is yet another system of communication related to the aforementioned Aroko and Ale. It is very restricted in its meanings, and it's limited only to combustible objects such as matches, dry leaves, wood shavings, oil, or any other type of flammable substance. Itufu is placed into the backyard of the recipient and is used solely for threatening them in response to a previous offense. Basically, referencing an intent on burning down the recipient's house. This communicates to the recipient that they must take the appropriate actions to make amends with the sender to save themselves from harm. The sender also has the law on their side in this context. Itufu is typically sent for adultery or theft. The proverb for Itufu is as follows: "He who has no skeleton in his cupboard will not look out for an Itufu in his backyard." Aga is the final type of symbolic communication that we'll be discussing in this video. Like Itufu, Aga is very limited in its usage, even more so than Itufu. It consists of nothing more than palm fronds hung on 2 sticks in the ground. Its sole purpose in life is to warn people of danger ahead, like caution tape or a construction sign. Paths leading to sacred groves that are off limits to common people are where Aga can typically be found. Dangerous areas that lead to deep ditches, for example, can also contain them. The latter few types of symbols discussed are not a secret and oftentimes will be too large to even be transported in a container. However, when the message is meant to be secret, it is important for the courier to be trustworthy to prevent any tampering that may happen, either deliberate or inadvertent. In a play known as Ogob Ri Elemoso, a man named Paimo Saun murders an Ejesa trader. An Aroko is given to Saun to take to the king of the Oyo Empire by Chief Olukbon. Little did he know, the Aroko was encoded with a message that sentenced him to death for his crime. However, on his way to the king, an old man, literate in Aroko, decoded it for him and modified it to give him a more mild punishment as opposed to death. So, once the king read the modified Aroko, he was under the impression that Chief Olukbon wanted Saun's life to be spared and his punishment to be more minor. Though this was just a play, it may be based on real events passed through oral history, and it is quite easy to see why. Needless to say, not everyone would get so lucky, as Oroqo and its related systems were used exclusively by elites, so very few people would have been able to decipher it. These systems were used in a way not unlike the way that letters were written elsewhere. I'm sure some of you are already fed up with getting yet another video about the Yoruba, but there's just so much about their history and culture that deserves more recognition, and because frankly, it's just very, very impressive. Nevertheless, I hope you all enjoyed the video anyway, and please comment, like, share, and subscribe if you want more videos like these. For sources, check out my website, linked below. If you'd like to support future projects, you can do so there as well, or by clicking the join button below, or by becoming a patron. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching as usual, and always remember, we don't come from nothing.